Welcome back to another great episode. We are going to see some crazy, gnarly footage starting with this. Now, I've said for decades, usually when you see a UFO, a lot of times it's coming or going or coming to and up to pick someone up in an abduction or leaving after abducting them. I believe this is one of the few times we've actually caught this on camera. So, without further ado, let's start this one before we get into some other ones that we're going to be watching together for the first time. Let me get to the play and check this sucker out. Now, what do you guys think? Maybe that thing is not a human that's going up. Maybe that thing is an ET going up. But my guess, this is probably, if it's the size of a human, I can't tell if it's larger than a human. I wish we had a little more reference. The good thing is, whoever filmed this obviously caught the building in sight. But I'm going to say that this is, if it's not a human being taken up, it could be another biological being like an ET. Obviously, this is not a cow, but this is gnarly. We get some of the best footage coming out of Mexico and all of South America because there's so much more open there, unlike here. Let me stop that. Sorry about that. That's Chaos Moogle. We're going to get to the next set of crazy stuff here. Okay, so hold on a second. Let me fix all this, remove that, and bring this sucker in here. Now, I've seen videos of cows being lifted. I'm sure that's been going around for quite some time now because that happened years and years ago when that famous video of a cow being abducted from a field came up. But now, let's see what Third Phase of the Moon, the oldest and largest UFO YouTube channel that I am proud to say I've worked with for uh, over 12 years in my 13th year. Okay, let's see what we got here today for y'all. All right. You know, yes, everybody has a camera in their pocket, which is making things that much easier to be caught on camera as opposed to just people talking about what they've seen. But I don't think that's the only reason we're seeing more. In the past, these UFOs used to hide. If you had a camera, they would shut it down. A lot of people would say they pulled out their camera and it didn't work. But that's not the case anymore. Now, we know these things can mess with your electronic equipment, but they seem to be allowing these things to happen. And another thing, notice how many more aliens are walking around. I'm not just saying you go on to Elm Street and you're going to see one, but there seems to be so much more alien footage from trail cams and other things that is just mind blowing. Things you would have never seen in the 80s or 90s or even further back in the 70s and 60s. Now, honestly, this is kind of tough to decide what we're actually looking at. Is it that giant sphere? It looks like two suns, but I think this is probably honestly just a camera glitch, some sort of reflection. I'm not seeing too much here. That's my opinion. Now, mind you, I've been investigating this stuff, privately, obsessed with it for 40 years, but I've been involved in ufology professionally for 13 years. And I have had my fair share of guests, as you know, that have been interviewed on this channel, some of the most high profile people in ufology and beyond, as well as worked with some of the top researchers. So usually when I see something, it'll trigger a memory of a case, be like, okay, that reminds me of the Aztec case or something. That doesn't remind me of anything. This is actually the reason I chose this video, is this right here. A lot of people talk about cigar-shaped craft or rod-shaped craft. Obviously, we're not looking at something that's a flying saucer here. If I'm not mistaken, this sucker is so big, I believe it is 5 miles wide. That's right, you heard me, 5 miles wide. This thing is probably the equivalent of their aircraft carrier times 10. I mean, can you just imagine how many mid-size UFOs there are in there, whether they be saucer shaped or triangles or pyramids or spheres or egg shaped? I'm pretty sure something this massive has a crew. I don't think it's just releasing AI drones, excuse me, which we see in a lot of the other cases. This is mind boggling. Let me also say this. Everybody, when you see something and you whip out your camera, sorry about that. I got a little something stuck in my throat. When you whip out your camera and try to film something, always get a reference point, just like we see here the mountain or the one before you saw the building. If you don't see anything, look for a building near and try to capture the corner of the building in that frame because you always need a point of reference as opposed to just getting something in the sky. I'm going to say this one is real. I'm not saying the one before is not real. Clearly, those people were reacting to something. Is it a sphere UFO that we just saw before? Very well could be, but I'm leaning towards more a possible reflection, something, a trick in the sky, something natural, a natural phenomenon. Whereas this, based on who filmed it and what's been said about this, and again, why I chose to choose this collection of videos, this thing is, in my opinion, nothing that humans have. Especially, I wish we saw it in video. I would really love to see how this thing travels. But again, that is not aerodynamic. Do you see any rotor blades, any exhaust from engines? Nothing. So, how can something like this fly? And if that is a volcano right next to it, nothing can get to that close to that heat without having problems. But we see these UFOs are very, very interested in what we, in our volcanoes. They go in and out of them all the time. Okay, this thing, uh, you know, I wish we could see a little bit more of this. It's just literally a collection of lights. Obviously, see, when I was mentioning reference points, look, this guy's got the tree and the power lines. If he only had filmed just this thing in the sky, then people would just say it's a light in the sky. Now, I want to know what happened before this guy whipped out his camera. What made him film this? Obviously, you see a light in the sky that's not moving, is way too close to be a star or a planet or anything like that. Clearly looks like it's in our atmosphere, but it's in when he actually zooms in that we start to see something more gnarly. I really hope he does. Okay, it looks like it is moving. It's very going very slow. I don't think that was the cameraman that moved when it went to the left side to the right side of this power line. Again, please zoom in again. There we go. Is this a triangle shaped like a TR3B? It could be. If you see what I mean, try to look at that triangle. Yeah, it almost looks like, the Ouija board. I forgot even the name of what they call those things. The planchet. It almost looks like a Ouija board planchet, does it not? Now, I don't think this is a TR3B because a TR3B has the one giant light in the middle underneath and then one light on all three corners. I don't think that's what we're seeing here. Um, wow. We are not alone. We were never alone. Disclosure is in our hands, folks. Actually, in my opinion, disclosure already happened. December 2017 with that New York Times article, and then the federal government confirming that the Tic Tac, the gimbal, and the Go Fast videos were something anomalous that can outmaneuver our jets and is not ours. So after that, to start having a lot of employees coming out, and then you saw people like David Grush who spoke in Congress. And we're coming up to another congressional hearing. So, yes, the wheels of government turn very, very slow, but the wheels of people, the citizens, do not. That's why I believe we are that much closer to an acknowledgement. And it doesn't really matter if the government ever says anything more about this. The fact that you can ask people on the street if they believe in UFOs more often than not now, they say yes. Tried to ask them 10 years ago, it was like 50-50, barely above 50% were starting to say yes. Go back 30, 40 years ago, man, you were the black sheep. I could tell you myself, being the only one in my family, despite other family members seeing UFOs or anomalous stuff, I was the one that was thought as the crazy one for believing that these things can be occupied by non humans. Okay, what do we got here? Wouldn't it be great if this was actually an alien walking? But no, I'm not seeing anything quite yet. Let's see what we got on this one. Okay. Brilliant cameraman in the sense that he's capturing the horizon. Whoa. There's been a massive influx of USOs Obviously, what this looks like to me, if it's not resting on the ocean, that is not an oil tanker. Sorry, folks. Zoom it in. If you here, you want to know how to zoom it in if you're watching on an iPhone or another phone, take a screenshot. Then go into your photos and just expand it until it gets pixelated where you can't see anymore. Look at that. It's not even resting on the ocean. This sucker is floating above it. That looks massive. Now, the reason these things could be so interested in our oceans, obviously there's minerals and life and stuff like that that I'm sure they're interested in, but I think there are bases all around. And some people even say they're not coming from other planets. These things may very well be coming from here. Now, Linda Moulton Howe made a great presentation how, depending on the type of species, they're coming from different places. The grays, etc., are coming from the water underneath. Now, I don't know if any of you live near California, but Malibu, there was a major suspicious underwater, I guess we could say base is what we've all concluded it to be. But some stuff that does not look man-made, or some stuff that looks man-made that does not look natural under the water. But that's a different case. What we're focusing on right here is, at least in my opinion, a mile wide. Now it could be a cigar shape, but I would speculate that this is a flying saucer shape. And so many more fishermen and people by the beach are saying that they are seeing these things coming in and out of the water. And apparently, thing is just staying. This also reminds me of the 2007 and 2008 Turkey UFO, where a UFO was on the water or just above the water, just like this. And if you all recall that famous footage, actually, Dr. Roger Lear, the alien implant doctor, was there in 2008 when the cameraman zoomed in and saw aliens, gray aliens in there. Uh, it almost looked like that thing went from in time to the exact same dimension. It's like a dial, time. Okay, turn to the right, you're going to fast forward to the future. That's what that looked like then. I wonder if this thing is doing the same. Another interesting thing, because this thing is trapped in a gravity bubble, time is different than us. So, for instance, it may look like it's there for hours, but to them, it could be there for weeks. Or, on the other hand, probably it's there for a lot shorter time. Back to that turkey one, if you look at it, that one actually shows the beings moving really fast. They're in a time dilation. I like this one a lot. I wonder if it's going down for a landing. Lots and lots of people talk about these rainbow lights around the circumference of a flying saucer. Now, of course we're not can't see the back end of this, but this is not a triangle. This is not a sphere. This looks like a typical flying saucer with rainbow colored lights. Now, everyone asks the question, why are there so many different sizes and shapes? Probably because you have different species. You have probably extraterrestrials coming from other planets. You have extra dimensionals coming from a parallel dimension. And we have time travelers. Some say they're all in one and the same. Because if you can warp space time via gravity, then and time and space are actually commingled. So if you could create a traversable wormhole to go from one destination to another, you are by default a time traveler because you are warping time as well when you do something like that. Now, yeah, this actually, I would love to see where it went, but it literally looks like it's coming down. And I'm sure the cameraman would have kept filming this sucker, but obviously he loses sight of it. And I would think he probably would have stayed there for a little bit to see if this thing ever comes up. Maybe it literally is just coming down for a landing. Maybe it's coming down to return an abductee or bring him back. Okay, now I believe, wait, let's see what we got here. Now, this very well could be the trailer of Battle for Disclosure. That is coming out on December 10th from Cousins Brothers Productions on Amazon Prime and other places. I just want to be sure that's what we're seeing. Let me fast forward a little bit. Now, you've seen the trailer multiple times in my videos. Yep. So what all that's okay. Yeah, this is just the trailer of the film. So I'm gonna head and stop this video right now. And again, if you want to see the movie on Amazon Prime, let me know and I will put the link in the description. So, what do you guys think of what we just saw? In my personal opinion, I would have to say that number one is that alien abduction caught on tape. That's what it looks like. Or unless it's just an ET going back to a ship. That's probably the most compelling one. The second one being that 5 mile rod. And I would put up there also that one that is over the sea. Now, everybody out there who's been abducted or contacted, let me know if you've ever seen any of these in real life yourself. And even if you are not an abductee, let me know which ones you guys believe to be real. And if you saw something like that, I would love to know in the comments. With that being said, friends, I'll keep bringing you top interviews and more crazy footage. Remember, leave a like, subscribe if you're new to here, and don't forget to share this video with someone who is on the fence about UFOs because we got to start getting everybody on board. Of course, we need answers, but we have to start the discussion to get to those answers. And what better way than to start showing them footage? Also, if you want to support me, you could always give me a super thanks. And if I'm live, a super chat. I would also love to know what you guys want to see more from me. Okay, with that being said, I will catch you in the next video. Keep your eyes in the sky, and I'll see you on the dark side of the moon. 10-4.